Welcome to another video from DIY Daily. Just put together a short video just running you through a fix on this 2006 Audi A4. It's the B7 model. Basically the issue we've got with this one, the window's not working on the driver's side. I did first notice the issue, the window wouldn't actually work with the door open, and then it stopped working with it whether it was shut or open. So I'll just run you through what I found the fault to be and how to fix it. Basically on these B7s, they are quite prone to the actual window switches, but this time I've actually got a fault with the wiring on it. Basically the harness inside the door where it's pivoting all the time, we've got some broken wires in there. So I'll just flick the torch on the camera and we'll show you the wires. And just before we get into the video, if you just check out the description or the link above, I'll put links to the B7 playlist. I've got quite a few. This is my own car and I've got quite a few videos on the B7 that you might want to check out as well. But to get these out, you just got a little clip each side. You can just pop the trim cover off. And I'll just try and show you the wire that we've got in there. You can just see we've got a couple of broken wires in there. Got a feeling there might be a few others as well. So you see, well, actually there's that one broke off completely. The red and black one as well there, and then this sort of orangey one's broken as well. So but you can sort of try and do them in situ, but you can never really get a decent repair on it. So what we're going to do is run you through taking the door card off so we can get a decent bit of access to it. Quite handy thing with these Volkswagen sort of style harnesses, you can actually unclip this loom here, so you can pull it out and pull it through into the door side, whereas some harnesses just go straight through and you're a bit limited and you can only really repair them within the door sort of gap there. So I'll just show you. Ignition on, so we've got nothing at all on that switch there. And first thing we're going to do, just to get the harness off, basically just coming up underneath, just in the centre, got a little Phillips screw there. We're going to just undo that one. Just got a little trim tool that we're going to use. Just need to just pop this trim out just there, pop it out all the way along, and then it's just got a little sort of hook section there that clips in. So we'll just get them two bits out to start with and then run you through the step after that. The only other thing I will do with the trim tool is just flick this little trim out there as well, and that'll give us access to another two screws just in there. If you check out the description below, I'll put links to all the tools that we used as well throughout the video. Right, so you can just see it's quite straightforward. We've got this trim off there, which reveals all these little Phillips screws just along the inside there, just to get out. And with that trim out there, you can just see, just from the underneath there, we've got another two Phillipses just through there to get out as well. So we'll just whip all them out next, and then run you on to the step after that. So we've now got all them Phillips screws out. I'm just going to just show you getting the trim off. Basically we're going to start from the sort of lower section, just pull it out. It's just on some little clips all the way around the outside. We're going to pull it out, but then the top sort of hooks in, sort of drops over the top there. So once you've released the bottom, you can just sort of lift it up slightly. And then once we've got it off, there's a little cable that goes to the back of the handle. We're going to have to release that, and then there's a little connector that we're just going to release as well. So we'll just run you through that once we've got the coupler off. I'll just show you the handle sort of mech cable bit there. You just simply need to pop that out, then you can just unhook that section there. And just so we can get the door card fully out of the way, basically the harness comes up, we've got one connector on here for the speaker, just simply need to pinch them two together, and then just for this one there's a little tab underneath there, just need to simply press that in, then we can lever the orange handle and that'll remove the connector for that. So just do that now. Right, so that's the door card fully out the way now. I don't think this door card's been off for quite a long time, but you can see just to start, if you have to get it behind you, once you've got all them screws out, it feels really firm, but you do just have to give it quite a good tug just to pull the clips out of it. I'll just show you on the back of the card. You've got this style clip there on it. That's all. You can see there's quite a few around the actual card. So. And the next thing I'm going to do now is just remove the speaker. We've just got some little Torx screws just holding that on. There's 3 of them. And I'll just take this connector out of there as well, and then we can just fully remove that out of the way. Right, so now that the speaker's out, I've just had a quick tug around with the wiring, and just the wiring harness, you can feel it from up inside the speaker hole there, just up there. There's a little, it is just sort of hooked onto a little clip that you can just pull it away from just there. And I've also just removed this section there. If you can reach in from inside the door, and you basically just need to push with your fingers, just these little tabs. Just there's 4 on it, 1 at the top, 1 at the bottom, and 1 on each side. Then you can release this section. And then next thing we need to do is remove the connector. Now you can just see there's a pink sort of piece there. That's basically, you don't need to actually remove that. That's if we're taking the inside section off. That just pulls this way, and then you can push that little tab in there to push it on the inside. But it's a little bit tricky to show you on the camera, but on the back side of the connector, there's a little tab that you just need to sort of push in. It's a little bit fiddly to get on. If you can push that in, and then you can pull the connector outwards. So I'll just do that, and once it's out, I'll just show you that a bit better on the connector so you can see it. Okay, you can just see the back edge of it. All you need to do is just sort of push that tab in there, and that releases that, just pushes that past it so you can get it out. It's a little bit fiddly, it's not too bad to do, you just need to sort of pull on it while you're pushing that in, that's all. So all I'm going to do now is just pop that back out. I'm just going to work this loom section back through the door so that we can get it out of here and we can access it to get a decent repair on them wires. Yeah, so you can see now that we've got them out, it's in quite a state really. Obviously we've got this big red and black one that's broken, blue and yellow one that's broken, that's quite beefy wires. The brown one's actually got a split in it, it's not broken fully through. This green and brown one's starting to split in the bottom there as well. And this orange one that we've got there is split as well. Now the red and yellow there don't look too bad, and this loom section there don't look too bad. And neither does that one on that other half there, doesn't actually look too bad. I can't see a split on that, so I'm just going to go with all the ones that's broken and the ones that we can see actually damaged to the loom to repair. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can repair this. You can obviously just clean them up, solder them back together, put heat shrink over them. You can use some solder connectors or some pin connectors, but really it's best to not really repair them right on the joint here, because it's the sort of most flexible point. So what I'm going to look to do is see if we can get the pin removal tool, see if we can take a few of these pins out and see if we can actually replace a section of the wire. We'll just take this tape back a little bit further, and then we'll put the join a bit further back into the loom where it's in the door and well out the way of getting any damage. So I'll just get the tools out and just see which ones we can get where we're replacing full sections of wire on to start with. So we've just got a few bits out ready, now ready to start doing the repair on it. So you don't have to worry if you haven't got all these tools and all these bits to do it. You can obviously join it with a connector just on the actual join there. But so I'm going to try and make quite a neat job of it and redo a section of wire, and we'll join it back here somewhere. So all I'm going to do, I'm just going to, now that I've got some bits out, just run you through quickly what we've got. We've got some terminal pins there. Now these are used, I'll show you how to use them when it comes to it, but just to actually remove the pins from the actual connector itself. We've got some new replacement terminal pins there, which you get in this kit. All these tools that I'm using, I'll put links to all of them in the description below if you want to check any of them out. But for these pins there, we've got a proper pair of crimps. That's for that style connector there. We've got some wire strippers. We've got a little soldering iron with an attachment just for the sort of heat gun on it, because we're going to be using these solder connectors. You know what these are? Quite a nice connector really. Basically they've got a little bit of solder built into them, a couple of sort of heat shrink edges. You join the two wires, melt the solder, it joins them up and seals it as well. And once that's on, you just put a little piece of heat shrink over the top, so obviously you get them all in different sizes. And we've got a proper bit of cable tape that we're using to patch the loom back up once we put everything back together. Now I haven't got all the exact colour wires. I've basically got one section of thicker wire and one section of a bit thinner wire. It's all in black. So just to make it a bit easier so they don't get mixed up, I'm just going to do one wire at a time. But I'm just going to run you through how to remove the actual pins from the plug to start with, and then we'll just take this loom back a little bit further as well, and just run you through replacing each one and crimping them all up. But to start with, to get the terminals out, you do need to remove this side pink one that for the small wires comes fully out. We're going to use a little flat bladed screwdriver, flick it in there, and that'll come actually right out. But on this side, you see I've just left that one partly out there. All you need to do is flick that out. It doesn't come fully out. All that does is just release some pins for these, the back two ones, the brown and green and the blue and yellow, but it still needs the terminal tool in there to get them out. But we just need to get the brown one out to start with. I've got it open because I've actually just took this one out when I was just checking what the removal method was, so I'll just pop that back in when we show you it. But to get these first two out, you do need that to be in, because it blocks it from coming out otherwise. So I'll just pop that back in now and just show you how to remove them. That's now clipped in. And basically for that first one, I've got this style terminal tool, and all it needs to do is in on the each side of the bit there. It does take a bit of jiggling to get it to go in properly. And you just hold it in, and then you can release the pin. And all that does on the terminal is just a little lug either side. Just see them two bits that are sticking out. That just simply presses on them so that you can release the pin there. So first thing I'm going to do, just going to replace this one to start with. I'll just strip this loom back a bit further. We'll just crimp a terminal onto a bit of new wire and then solder joint that first connection. Now I've done that with a crimp. You can just see you've got a really nice firm crimp on there. Just sometimes I just did that with a bigger one to start with. Sometimes you just go straight in with the sort of medium sizes. Sometimes just crimples the end up a little bit. If you just go with a bigger one, it always just curves them nicely to start with, and then just give it a final nip with the medium one. So you can just see that's got a decent crimp on there. We've got a fresh new bit of wire. Obviously we'll just bare that end, and then we'll clip it into the connector, and then we'll match it up, bare the loom, and then we'll run a solder connector on it. Just join that up properly. To do this joint there, we're just going to use one of the red solder connectors. And it's always worth just cutting your wires at different lengths as well. It just keeps your loom a little bit smaller. So obviously if I join this one there, run another one a bit closer down, and maybe another one a bit further back, it'll just space up. Obviously the connectors are a bit bulky, so sometimes it just helps with keeping the loom a bit neater. basically just tried to mesh the wires together in the middle there, and then just push the solder over to the centre there. And now we'll just run the soldering iron sort of heat gun over the top of it just to melt that nicely. So using this little gas soldering iron here, basically just take the soldering attachment out of it. It's just like a little heat gun. So we're just going to gently warm around the solder now till the solder starts running, and then just run it over the little red bands there to seal them up, and that'll do the joint. So the little gas ones run out of gas tonight, and I ain't got any gas, so I'm just going to have to go on to using this little blowtorch. Prefer to use the gas soldering iron if I can. It's just not quite as aggressive as well, but you can do it with this. You just need to be a bit more careful, that's all. Yeah, so that's the first solder joint done. Once it starts to go, you just see the solder run. It just runs either way down it, and then obviously the two red pieces seal it up. So that's nicely sealed there. Now I would sometimes put a bit of heat shrink over, slide that over, and then shrink that on it as well. We've actually run out of the bigger heat shrink, but I've got some for the smaller wires. So once I've done the bigger one, so we'll use a little bit on there. But now that I've run through that first one, I'm just going to do the next three bigger wires. Then we'll run on to the smaller ones after that. Right, so that's all the big wires all jointed up now. You can see that nice solder joint on there, and there's a little sleeve over the top of them, just bonds it to seal them up as well. All we're left with now is the two smaller wires. We've got the orange one that's completely broken off, and then we've got this red one that's sort of just kinked and damaged the loom as well, so we're just going to do that one. And I think all the others don't look too bad. On there, so I'll just show you how to get this side out. Basically for this one, you just need to use your little flat bladed screwdriver. Just flick the tab out. So with the tab out of the way, all you need to do now is to release the pin. I'll just show you on this one, it's a little bit easier to see on the end one. But you just need to go in on there, and you can just push on the little tab. and you can release the terminal there. I've just checked and I haven't actually got a replacement terminal for these really small ones, so all I'm going to do with these ones is just replace them with a solder connector in the actual position that they're in. So to start with, we'll just repair the orange one. We've got these really small solder connectors for these little wires, and then I'm just going to put a little bit of heat shrink over as well. And obviously the heat shrink needs to go on first and slide it up right out of the way. You want it right out of the way, because if you catch this with any heat when you're melting the solder connector, you'll start shrinking that in the place where you don't want it. So the solder's run into the joint now, sealed it up. We can then just put the heat shrink over the top of it, give it an extra bit of protection. And let's just seal that up with the heat shrink as well. Right, so I'm quite happy at that now. All the wires have been repaired. They're all clipped back in. The purple pin clips are back in. Obviously I didn't have the smallest terminal size, so I've had to repair these ones in situ, but at least with it out and right in front of you, it's a bit easier to do the repair on it. The other wires look pretty good, so I'm just going to put some tape around it all now, seal it all back up, pull the sleeving back over it, we'll feed it back through. I'll just speed through, putting everything back together, and I'll just run you through, just showing you this definitely fixed the fault at the end as well. So we'll just speed through it a bit now as we put everything back together. Alright, so that's everything back together now. You might have noticed just before fully putting the panel on, I just checked that the window worked. But one thing you want to do is once you've got it all done, just obviously check your windows, check all your windows, open your window first, then check your door locks. But just make sure when you shut it, your inner handle works. Obviously check it from the outside, make sure your outer handle works, and then just lock it and unlock it and just make sure everything's working there as well. But I just thought I'd put that video together, just showing you how I would repair it. Obviously it doesn't have to be done that way. It did involve using quite a few tools, but if you're interested in any of them, again, I'll put links to them in the description below as well. So, but needed quite a few bits to do that. But you could really, if you didn't want all the crimp connections and everything, these solder joints are not too bad connections really. They do get a decent seal on there, a decent joint, and then you can put some heat shrink over the top of it as well. So, yeah, hope you liked the video. If you did, give it a quick thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Obviously, don't forget to check out some of the other B7 videos as well if you've got one. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.